Hi, I just wanted to introduce this episode honestly. A full disclosure, I recorded this last week, but I have had a very full week of processing, and it was one of those weeks that was filled with grief. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. The podcast is meant to be me sharing how I am breaking free of an old version of myself. I wanted to explain this last week because I didn't feel authentic posting the episode that I had recorded on last Monday because it was about freedom. And it didn't feel that way to me. Even a few days later, I wasn't in that same emotion. And that's why I wanted to intro this. Just because I'm saying something and I'm recording something at one point doesn't mean that I don't have the exact opposite emotion going on at a different time. I don't want to be misleading about the reality and the pain that comes from rebuilding and reconstructing your life. And so I am going to talk from a place of healing and hopefully wisdom and hope, but I want to share that the reason why I didn't set a schedule for this is because I'm honoring my process of my waves and cycles of natural grief and transition as anybody who is doing any major life shift, whether it be a move, a death, a birth, a divorce, a sickness. There's many ways that our life is massively interrupted or shifted, and sometimes it's shifted towards alignment, but that alignment is not free from grief or pain, as I've said before. Also, I feel overwhelm is a big part of big transitions, big change. There's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of instability, there's a lot of the unknown ahead of you, and that can feel overwhelming. I am saying that because that's what it felt like this last week. And I was thinking about it, and to me, when you're holding grief and anger and you're trying to push through your everyday life and act like it's not different than any other day, to me, it feels like you're holding this huge pail of water just over the capacity of your strength. And I think of people who have to walk to wells to get water, and how you would try to fill your bucket or pail up with as much water as you could because it's so far away. But your walk back, if you're carrying too much, it's sloshing all around. And as you move forward, the inertia of it is working against you. That's what the feeling of overwhelm feels like for me. I have this huge sloshing bucket of water and water spilling over. That's when I know I need to ground, process, move my body, sleep, shower. And recently I got a personal sauna, and it is not bougie at all. It is essentially a one-man camping tent that zips up with a plastic tube connected to a rice cooker. You can have a sauna in your own home. You don't have to be a billionaire. And so I've been doing that, and that has really helped me in this time of heaviness, when sometimes there's so much energy that is spent getting through your day with that pail of water. That grief is in there, it's heavy. So you don't even have the energy to run. And that was last week for me. I'm a runner, and I haven't been for the last month because the energy has been consumed, and I've prioritized my body so that I don't push it and I don't try to do more than I can. And that's new. My old version of me in my old life, I would push through any need I had, and I would try to run with a sloshing bucket of water everywhere and then be highly anxious and freaking out all the time. So I just want to tell you that this is how I am seeing my mental and emotional processing, regulating in real time. And I wanted to share it with others in case you might relate to this, or in case you need someone to put words to it that you just didn't know that you were feeling the same until you heard it. But I think overwhelm has been one of the biggest barriers in my life. I have never really understood regulation. I've never really understood how to carry the appropriate amount of water in my bucket, in my pail. I always had way too much in there, trying to prove myself, be worthy, carrying others, wait for them, that they should carry themselves, etc. So now my bucket's a lot lighter, and when I feel it start to slosh around, I know, okay, I've got too much going on in my mind, and go and do something. So go and do something that gives this energy an outlet. Whatever your body is craving, it might be sleep, it might be movement, it might be talking with a therapist, it might be prayer time, it might be journaling. Whatever it is that you do, it has to feel lighter and better after. You have to feel uplifted, or else it's not self-care and it's just distraction. That's how you know the difference. If it's self-care, you feel lighter, you feel better, clearer, and you feel like your water in your bucket is nice and calm and regulated. And this is where people get tripped up. This is where I've learned in my past failures, or not necessarily failures, but attempts at things, my first podcast and things like that. You don't have to have everything perfect. I think we strive for perfectionism, and then we don't get there, not even close. And then we don't have the perseverance to push through that self-doubt. And we think, oh, this isn't working. And so we give up on it. And it's less about being consistent, letting go, or staying steady with your outlets and responsibilities. And it's more about being steady and consistent with your own needs. That's what people call being in the flow. Someone who is meeting their needs, they feel like they're regulated, they're not raking things over in their mind. Grudges from the past aren't being held on to. They're hopeful and inspiring and loving life. They're planning things for the future, and they're building things. They're creating. These people are in the flow. Very few people, I think, crack this code. There's so much more to life than career tracks and the cookie cutter cultural and religious roles and spiritual strongholds that take over our perception of what life is truly about. And I think we think we're born to work and hopefully save enough to not be poor at the end of your life, and that's it. But I think there's so much pressure. The structure has taken over the actual purpose, the intention. The only thing that we have to stay consistent on is our intentions. Our behavior will follow suit, but we have to intention to be intentional. When you stop being intentional, it just slides off like a slippery slope. I'm intentionally being gentle and gracious with myself at this moment in time by not setting a schedule, by not forcing pressure that would make maybe myself or others feel safe. Oh, Courtney always gets her podcast out on this day and this time. My old version of me would have had spent so much time trying to live up to that I would have neglected myself. I did all this. This is not hypothetical, actually. I've lived it. And so I've learned that lesson. And so this time around, I am not forcing anything. And there's gonna be weeks of grief. There's gonna be weeks of anger. There's gonna be weeks of sadness. And so some weeks I might not podcast. Some weeks I might podcast twice. I'm not sure, but I know that whatever I'm going to post is going to be authentic, and it's going to come from a good, clean, grounded place. My intention is to mine all of this pain for gold for myself and share it, hopefully for the benefit of others. And I'm never going to speak from a place of anger or grief, but I wanted to let people know that it is absolutely present, and that I'm moving through it so it can be released, and that I can move on and we can flow. I know it sounds a bit cheesy, it is cheesy, but things like grief and overwhelm, they aren't scary. we avoid it like the plague. But once you figure out the outlets you need, which containers to look for to pour that energy into, it's gonna be heavy no matter what. Grief is heavy. No one can escape that, but it doesn't mean that you can't handle it, and it doesn't mean you should avoid it, because there's no way out of it, just through it. And so when you get through it, it's like, oh, I've figured out how to calm the water inside me. My environment isn't necessarily calmer, it's just calm inside me. And with that said, this is the Unbroken Blueprint. My name is Courtney, and this is episode 5. Hi, this is the guilt of being free. It's a gorgeous Monday morning, and I'm having a really slow start. My dogs are fed, and I'm laying in my bed, and I'm letting the day meet me. And I was just doing some reflection, trying to quiet my mind and let silence speak, and it sure enough did. I heard something really simple: let yourself be free. And that really hit me hard, because it is hard to integrate and accept freedom after years and decades of conditioning and fear-based decisions and lies that you believed were true. I realized this morning that freedom feels really unfamiliar. And we've been conditioned to believe that this state of freedom exists when everything is done, when all of our bills are paid, when the house is put together, when you finally get on that workout routine, or when you finally start XYZ. And what that does is that embeds the idea that freedom is earned, and it anchors a belief inside of us that if freedom only exists when everything is handled, then freedom never actually exists, because we're slaves to the constant bondage of productivity, performance, servitude, or just fear of being still, silent, alone. And I think it's because a lot of us were raised to believe that your worth is tied to your productivity, that rest felt like laziness, falling behind. And so even when nothing is wrong, something in us feels like it is. The nervous system truth is that your brain is wired to have pressure to feel safe. Urgency feels normal. Stillness feels unfamiliar. And what that anchors is my body doesn't recognize freedom as safety yet. It recognizes pressure. And I realized that we have a taskmaster mind. We're so used to bossing our minds around. We're giving it constant direction, assigning it things, managing, making decisions, reflecting. Even personal development is assigning your brain a job. And we don't know how to sit with ourselves without doing that. We're always telling our brain, do this, do that, do this, do that. And so that's the familiar, because that's what you know, that's what you feel you must do. And I had this image come to me of a laptop that's been running nonstop, tabs open, running hot. And instead of powering it down, we just keep asking more of it because it's there. And it's no wonder we're burnt out. We're acting like taskmasters to our own minds. And even in moments of stillness, I find myself still trying to do it. Even in a moment of silence, should I be journaling? Should I be reflecting? How can I optimize this moment? We think we're using our mind, but most of the time, we're being used by the habit of needing it to be productive. So what if your mind doesn't always need a job? What if sometimes it just needs space? And this is so me, but I literally caught myself about to rush into recording this episode about not rushing into performance. And I was like, okay, pull it back, Court. Maybe just lay down for a second. I've been watching a lot of Schitt's Creek. I am the kind of person where I watch one show at a time and I just watch it. It's usually one of my favorites, and I get to the point where I know the episodes and I can just walk around and do stuff and have it in the background, and I'm not missing anything. It doesn't require my attention, but it sets a lighter tone for my brain for background. Schitt's Creek, for many reasons, it's a gem of a show with an all-star cast, and the writing is exceptional. I'm obsessed with Catherine O'Hara and I miss her so much. Watching Schitt's Creek is such a heartwarming way to remember her. But also Alexis she's always just popping those shoulders and she's always smitten with someone. I had a thought, what if this time I become a little bit smitten with myself before I become smitten with someone else? And not in a performative way, not a convince myself I'm amazing kind of way, but in a way where I actually enjoy being with me, where I'm not waiting for someone else to create that feeling. And maybe the goal isn't to find someone to be smitten with. Maybe it's to become someone you're genuinely smitten with first. And the shift is freedom needs to be redefined. It needs to be way more accessible to us. I think it needs to be brought to our awareness that a lot of us fear it in actuality. But it's not a reward. It's not earned. It's a state you allow. And it's not about having nothing to do. It's not about having all the bills paid or the house in perfect shape or you being in perfect shape. It's about not being internally controlled by everything you could do. See, this is where I lived for so long. I should be doing something. I'm falling behind. I'm wasting time. Everyone else seems to be able to manage all of these things, and I don't know why I can't. And even though my body and my mind were telling me, you need to stop, you need to rest, your brain needs to shut down, I would override those and perform. No one was judging me. No one was judging that performance but me. I realized the anchor there is our brains are wired to feel buried under tasks. We don't lose freedom because of responsibility though. We lose it because of our relationship to it. Think about it. Think about people who are really free in their life. It doesn't mean that they're not responsible for anything. It means that they've been able to access the state regardless of obligations or commitments. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm still learning how to sit in it. I did about 15 things before sitting down and doing this, convincing myself that I needed conditions to be right for recording. And then I went back and forth on, well, yeah, I do certain things to feel tidy, so I feel at peace, that feels good. But what happens is I just get on a roll and then I get tuckered out. I use my energy producing and I have yet to sit and stop. And so those windows shut because we literally just work through them. We fill the space with tasks and jobs for our brain. But here's my invitation for you. Let yourself feel good before everything is done. Be smitten with yourself even when you've got bills to pay, or you've got to clean the kitchen, or you've got a million things to do. Sit without optimizing anything. If you're me, you try to optimize downtime, reflection. Just sit and feel the discomfort and notice it without fixing it, and notice it because it's meant to be there. It's new. You're not used to it. It's not familiar because you're used to running on empty. So the discomfort is going to be there at first. But maybe nothing is wrong. Maybe this is just what freedom feels like before it becomes familiar. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this resonated with you. If you feel this message is right for someone, please share. Please follow me on Instagram at The Unbroken Blueprint, and you can also email me at Courtney@theunbrokenblueprint.com. Remember, go live your life like it's yours, because it is. This is the Unbroken Blueprint, and so are you. Bye.
Amen.